What if I told you that the laziness that shames you today could be the seed of your deepest purpose? Imagine that the same force that holds you back is actually the hidden key to living with clarity and discipline, not as punishment, but as freedom. What if your ambition weren't a crushing burden, but a silent beacon guiding every step, even the slowest ones? There is an ancient secret preserved by samurai, monks, and sages that reveals how to transform the energy of stagnation into direction. A hidden knowledge that was never about whipping yourself with rigid rules, but about awakening a light, curious, and unburdened mind. This key is called Ikigai, the point where your life takes on meaning, and Shoshin, the beginner's mind that restores freshness to each day. I'm not talking about cheap motivational phrases, nor productivity plans that fall apart in a week. It's not about overcoming yourself through brute force, but about learning to flow like a river that doesn't fight the mountain, but simply flows around it. The samurai knew this secret. Lao Tzu whispered it in his enigmatic lines. And even today, neuroscience confirms it. True discipline is born not from punishment, but from clarity. This knowledge was lost, distorted, and confused with blind rigidity. But now, here, it returns pure, like an echo from the past arriving to free your present. In this video, you'll learn the first key to transforming your ambition, stifled by procrastination, into a light, sustainable discipline rooted in purpose. A simple revelation, but one that can change the course of your life, starting today. If you feel ready to cross that invisible bridge between laziness and fulfillment, write in the comments, "My path begins now." You've tried fighting your own laziness with endless lists, productivity apps, and promises to wake up at 5 a.m. It works for a day or two, but soon the weight returns. The bed feels heavier, your body drags, and your mind starts making subtle excuses. "I'll start tomorrow. Today's not the right time." The cycle begins again, and with it comes guilt, which soon turns into silent shame. The truth is, you don't lack desire. Ambition is what overflows. What's missing is understanding why your body and mind resist so much. Neuroscience shows that procrastination isn't laziness, but an escape from emotional discomfort. Your mind prefers to postpone because it fears the pain of imperfection, failure, and comparison with others. It's not a lack of willpower, it's excessive fear. Remember that time you enrolled in a course full of high expectations. In the early days, your energy was intense. But as soon as the first obstacle arose, your enthusiasm evaporated. You didn't stop because you didn't want to, but because, deep down, something inside you said, "If I continue, I'll prove I'm not good enough." And so you gave up, calling it laziness what was actually fear. Common solutions promise liberation, but deliver more pressure. They say willpower solves the problem, but only create more fatigue. You're not broken. What's missing is an invisible piece. Figuring out how to align your internal energy with the natural flow of life. Without this piece, any method is just another prison. The ancients already knew this missing piece. Lao Tzu said that a tree grows effortlessly, simply by following the direction of the light. The samurai, in disciplined silence, discovered that true victory was not against external enemies, but against the internal confusion that paralyzes the heart. Musashi wrote in Book of Five Rings that the warrior does not waste energy. He acts only on what is essential. In Japan, the concept of Ikigai was born, the point where your passion, your talent, and the world's needs meet, not as a demand, but as a silent compass. And with it, Shoshin, the beginner's mind, which sees each day as new, unburdened by stifling expectations. Today, even science confirms what these masters already knew. Richard Davidson showed in his studies that small daily practices, when done with presence, reprogram the circuits of motivation and pleasure. It's not about brute force, but about learning to create a path of least friction. This knowledge doesn't compete with your ambition. It hones it. It doesn't destroy your energy. It directs it. It doesn't ask you to be perfect, just that you be present, one step at a time. There is a path that can transform this stifling feeling of being ambitious but lazy into clarity, lightness, and direction. It's not about changing who you are, but about awakening what already exists within you. the discipline that doesn't punish, but liberates. When Ikigai becomes your guiding light, every small action takes on meaning. You stop carrying the weight of 1,000 tasks and learn to choose the one that truly matters. And with Shoshin, the beginner's mind, perfectionism dissolves. Life stops being an impossible marathon and becomes a constant training session, where each step already contains victory. This transformation isn't fleeting. It doesn't depend on spur-of-the-moment motivation or temporary tricks. It's profound, inevitable, and permanent, born from the integration of ancestral wisdom and simple practices applied to your daily life. If you stick with me until the end, you'll learn how to use these principles to create minimal, nearly invisible rituals that gradually reprogram your body, mind, and energy. And that's when ambition stops being a prison and becomes a path to freedom. The first step of the journey begins in the body, breathing. When you breathe deeply, you not only oxygenate your brain, you send the nervous system a message that you are safe. Try it now. Close your eyes for a moment. Inhale through your nose, hold for 3 seconds, and release slowly through your mouth. In this simple gesture, you open space to act without the pressure of conquering the entire world at once. The body is the antenna that captures clarity. The second step is the mind. Just as a sword needs an edge, thought needs focus. But focus is intention, it's presence. Imagine a candle lit in the darkness. There's no effort to shine, only constancy. Select a single micro-action in the day and place your full attention on it. Wash a cup, write a line, make a phone call. A small victory that, repeated, breaks the cycle of stagnation. The third step is spirit. Here, the energy that seemed like laziness reveals itself as undirected power. When you align it with Ikigai, every gesture becomes an expression of purpose. Procrastination ceases to be an enemy and becomes a sign, a reminder that you've strayed from what truly matters. Spirit doesn't demand haste, it demands alignment. The fourth step is emotions. It is in them that the invisible root of escape resides. Shame, doubt, the fear of not being enough. But every feeling can be transmuted. When the warrior accepts death, he frees himself to live. When you accept that you are imperfect, every attempt becomes freedom. Failure ceases to be a burden and becomes training. The fifth step is advanced practice, where all the previous steps come together. A short ritual, just 5 minutes in the morning. Breathe, write down a single micro-action aligned with your purpose, and execute it before anything else. Like bamboo, which grows invisible underground for years before breaking through the soil, this discreet practice develops deep roots. And one day, without apparent effort, you realize you've already become what you sought. Close your eyes for a moment and remember the bamboo. Years of silence beneath the earth, and then, suddenly, a growth that seems miraculous. What you've experienced up until now, the desire, the laziness, the beginnings that didn't last, are the layers that precede the rupture. Now, we'll address the proof you can already feel. Small signs, subtle and sincere, that confirm that something real has begun to change. In the body, the first sign is usually simple, a sigh that isn't tiredness, but release. It can be a weight in the chest that thins, a slight warmth in the hands, a less tight throat. Don't wait for thunder. Wait for an adjustment, like when a candle gains air and its flame stabilizes. These signs are body saying, I can stop fighting. Allow yourself to notice them. Write down a short phrase. Today there was space in my chest. This note is the marker of the new. In your mind, the test appears as a pause. Before, thoughts piled up like cars in a traffic jam. Gradually, a stretch of free road appears. 2 or 3 minutes in which you don't have to narrate every future failure. Use this pause as a sensor. When it appears, stop for a second and breathe. No need to linger. Just notice that your mind can pause. This is discipline born of presence, not force. In emotions, transformation isn't elimination, it's transmutation. The anger that used to flare up can now arrive as a warning. There's something to adjust here. Name the emotion, breathe into it for 3 cycles, and ask, what do I need now? Not to solve everything, just to listen. When shame loses its urgency and becomes curiosity, You know the old pattern is giving way to something wiser. The spirit gives different signals, clarity in small decisions, a feeling of lightness when saying no, a subtle glow when taking action aligned with purpose. You no longer do things just for the sake of it. You do them because it makes sense. This glow is confirmation that Ikigai has begun to act as a beacon, not as pressure, but as direction. Now, a practical interaction for the next 7 days. A simple experiment, true to the samurai spirit in the Tao, designed to reprogram without violence. In the morning, 5 minutes. Slow breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Then write on a line the single micro-action of the day, aligned with your purpose. 1 sentence. Today I will wash my cup before checking email. Perform this micro-action immediately. Throughout the day, when resistance arises, apply the quick ritual. Name the emotion quietly. Breathe 3 times in that area of the body where the emotion resides, and say to yourself, 1 step. Before you go to sleep, write down 1 line, what I did and how I felt. Don't judge harshly. Observe with a beginner's curiosity, Shoshin. Do this for 7 days. Small, repeated victories are what make bamboo's virtue. Now the summary. All these practices, breathing, single priority, micro-action, naming emotions, walking mindfully, are not separate fragments. They are threads of a single fabric. Imagine a bow. The body provides the string, the mind the focus that directs the arrow, the spirit is the intention that points to the target, and the emotions are the wind to be calculated. When you align string, bow, hand, and wind, the arrow goes exactly where it needs to go, without straining the steel, without sacrificing the flexibility needed for any adjustment. This is the discipline that liberates. We've reached the philosophical turning point, the point where the story shifts. Everything you sought outside has always been within. There's no monster of laziness to be annihilated. There's an inner signal calling for realignment. Ikigai isn't a distant goal. It's a convergence point that already exists at the intersection of what you love, what you know how to do, and what the world needs. Shoshin isn't naivete. It's the courage to start over without the weight of the past. When you accept this, the paradox dissolves. Ambition ceases to be a burden and becomes a beacon. Laziness ceases to be shame and becomes a signpost for the path that needs to be adjusted. Before closing, a practical challenge that invites the community to participate. Today, choose 1 small action you've been putting off. Do it now, before any distractions. Then, comment below, my path begins now. This gesture is a light public vow, not to punish yourself, but to name your intention. By writing, you strengthen the bridge between intention and action. A cautionary reminder. Internal practices can touch on old wounds. If, while digging, something emerges that seems overwhelming, loss, trauma, symptoms that disrupt sleep or routine, seek a qualified professional. Courage also means asking for help. If this story touched you, join the small group that comes here to seek serene discipline. Subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and share this video with someone who lives torn between ambition and exhaustion. Not out of shame, but out of companionship. The journey is easier when we're not alone. Finally, an image to take with you. Imagine you're the bridge crossing the river. Don't try to carry the river. Keep the pillars firm. Breathing, focus, purpose, acceptance, and let the flow pass beneath your feet. Each conscious step is a sharpening of a sword that doesn't wound, only prepares. Walk slowly, walk mindfully, and discover that, in the end, the bridge has become a path.